Alright, TeamSpeak server might be failing. I don't know. We'll have to see. If it does, then I can't record anything, and you'll have to watch all of it on Jordan's Twitch channel. No. Anyway, Sean, you still with us?
Yeah, I think so.
Alright, what's Joseph gonna do then?
He's gonna drive straight to Elysium.
Okay,
He's
Joseph
driving that
drives
bus with
straight
him.
straight to Elysium, and before then, David will definitely arrive at Astoria Estates with his files, and they begin the process of culling through people. I mean, you guys can certainly devise a jacket of your own for whoever target you think. Whoever it is, he's not going to be as qualified as Roy Dufford is, but he'll be a best possible choice from those people left at the 114th Precinct, assuming that the information that David has is still accurate for everyone who's currently there.
Yep.
So you can go ahead and take some time to come up with someone who might be the best possible shot for Deputy Inspector. Joseph will arrive at which Elysium is he going to?
Uh, the Madison Square Garden. He's going straight to the box.
Alright, Joseph arrives at Madison Square Garden. He can go through just fine. He is stopped before he gets to the box by two guards standing outside the door. You can't go in there.
What's happening?
Archon is not. The other one's like, these not, you don't, no. The first one's like, yeah, oh.
Just pissed or pissed with reason?
So, and then the Archon actually bellows out from the room, I thought I told you to stop talking in front of the fucking door!
Just one here.
Well, he of course would have been referring to the two guards.
Oh. Oh. Okay.
In that case, after Joseph calls out, there's a pause and, seriously? I told the two numbskulls that I didn't know what happened to David. All I knew is that he went down to fucking check on Savalon's Candyland.
Well, then I have a little bit more knowledge, and I'd just like to tell you.
There's a long pause. Both of the guards look at each other, look at Joseph, shake their heads.
Joseph is scowling.
I think Theo is too, behind the door.
They are both scowling at the door.
And then the Archon yells out, if you fuckers kept fucking bothering Kadir like this all the time, it's no wonder you drove him crazy.
That was in bad taste.
This is the angriest that Joseph would have ever heard the Archon, not going down to Sevalon to try to retrieve a heart, not in any other situation. Archon is fuming.
Yeah, and Joseph knows it's because of something else. Or at least suspects.
And then there's another pause, and then he shouts out loud, I'm gonna kill every single one of those fucking bastards in Staten Island, tonight! Both of the guards look at each other. They pale even more than what they already were. They look back at you, back at each other, back at you.
Joseph's, I don't know what expression he'd be wanting to make, but he's doing his best to just keep scowling. And standing there.
One of them whispers, you should probably go. The other one's like, yeah.
Yeah, I know that you think I should probably go. I don't think TeamSpeak's having a moment.
Nope.
Yeah.
I was just saying.
Joseph will outpatient Theo. Unless he goes to sleep in where he's sitting, Joseph's going to outpatient him. He will not move until everyone leaves.
Sure. Pass Ag, the Archon. That sounds perfect.
Okay.
Well, he's not going in that door without permission. He's not that crazy.
Alright, so, I guess, definitely a lot of time is going to pass. Um, Byron, Marcus, Dave, it's not as much out of character time as what you thought you'd have, but, you guys can certainly come up with what you think is maybe a good choice. Well, David's the one with the real law experience, like, it's not Vargas. It's not Roy Dufford either. You could make a reasonable case for him, and maybe you can make a reasonable case for this guy, too.
Yeah, David's going to try and find someone who has at least a little bit of command experience, like an experienced detective or something like that.
Yeah, that's certainly doable.
Someone who doesn't have much in the way of family, but has a pretty exemplary record. Maybe even if they have any sort of like demerits or dishonorable mentions, it would have to do with ignoring orders in favor of justice or something like that.
That's also possible, yes.
That's the sort of profile he's going for.
How about personality? Like that, you were saying a little bit about that, but like we know Dominique is a fitness freak and that type of stuff. Do you want more of a vigilante guy, or more of a politician guy? What kind of person do we want in there as a ghoul?
I think that we want someone who can be convinced that they're doing the right thing. Not the sort of person who has to worry about lying to the people in order to do what we're telling them. Someone who's on board with it, even if they're being a ghoul.
What we need is, if they're in some of the after-action reports and stuff, you sometimes can read between the lines where they may have stepped out of line for the reasons you state, like got a little overzealous, but it was glossed over by the commanding officer or whatever. You might be able to pick something like that out, maybe. And that might be what we want, is someone that gets along well with others so that they will overlook anything strange, but he does want to go out of his way.
Someone who works well with people, but cares more about doing the right thing than following protocol.
Right. I think Byron agrees with you entirely on that. He will bring up, because Joseph brought it up before, and he really does not want to antagonize anyone in the coterie at this point. He's going to say, do we want to make sure that perhaps this person doesn't have small children or no family at all or something like that?
I would definitely prefer someone with not much in the way of family.
Or at least if they have family, they've all left.
There's pretty much like it's all you have to do is open a book and just point at one of the police officers, and there's going to be a story of divorce due to alcoholism or the stress of the job or what have you.
Suits me just fine.
Yeah. So any one of those.
Okay, now you can come up with the name.
All right, I've come up with the last couple, so you guys get to pick. Awesome.
Never let me name things ever.
That's hilarious. No, I love it. I love it. I'm sold.
Detective Albert Farnsworth it is.
Al Farnsworth.
Known to his friends as the Fonz. He hates the nickname.
I mean, most people probably think his surname is actually Farnsworth.
I always thought it was Fonzarelli, but...
It was Fonzarelli.
So where do we find this Detective Farnsworth?
We have a contact.
We do?
Now that's interesting. David, taking a look at the notes, the suggested address for this guy would put him in the East River, the listed address.
In the East River?
Yeah. In the East River. As in, doesn't exist.
Huh. I'm honestly not sure what to say about that.
Can you talk to Contact about him?
I can probably give him a call.
You can definitely give him a call.
I'll try and call up Ken and see if he has anything to say about Mr. Al Farnsworth.
Okay. The phone rings, too, and... Reese!
Hey, it's Green.
Yeah, missed you at the service. He sounds a little inebriated.
Yeah, I wish I could have been there.
Did you at least pay your respects? It's just shame that he went out like that.
I haven't yet. I'm not sure what I want to leave there for him.
Oh. Alright, what's up? Is something about the commissioner again?
No, I'm wondering if you know Detective Al Farnsworth?
Go ahead and give me a 1d10 roll, Aaron. Who?
I guess not.
No, I've never heard of the kid, whoever he is. Is he gonna be the next commissioner or what? Or, I suppose that is missing a deputy inspector over there in Astoria now. You hear about that guy, Dufford? Quit. Said he wanted to spend time with his family. Maybe you could have taken something from that. Maybe I could have taken something from that.
I got no clue.
I've never heard of the kid. Yeah, I'm sure he's great with a name like Farnsworth.
No, Farnsworth, like the Fonz.
Oh, it's even worse. Poor kid must have been made fun of forever. You really need to call out more decent hours. It's difficult to hang.
Yeah, no, I understand. Thanks anyway.
Yeah, sure.
And then I'll hang up.
Well,
He's never heard of him.
I guess we could go where this address supposedly is and see if we can find something there.
It's in the river.
Well, then we go to the river.
You guys are pretty much at the river anyway.
Does it list a mailing address where his check is sent each month?
It definitely has a post office box in eastern Astoria, but it has the living address as apparently in the East River.
Well, we can go check it out. If we don't see anything there, then we can, I don't know, go down to the precinct and figure it out, either with ourselves or have someone do it for us during the day.
I mean, speaking as a storyteller, all you guys were looking for was someone to suggest the commissioner, right? Like, what are you looking for this guy for right now?
And also someone to ghoul. Before
Yeah, we wanted to Google him
they
first.
were
Oh, you
placed
wanted
there.
to ghoul him first, okay.
So that we had a ghoul who was going to be put in place before someone else could come and ghoul him after he's been announced.
Okay.
So we're gonna go break into a post office. Woo! Felonies.
It's a PO box. What are we going to learn from that?
Stuff.
I mean, someone will obviously check it instead. The problem is that without a ghoul to watch, you guys can only watch during the night.
So I guess we go to where his supposed address is.
What unit does he work for?
Well, you're the one who made him. What unit does he work for?
Let's say homicide.
He's a homicide detective, then.
Okay, so he's a homicide detective. What now?
Yeah, Byron and Marcus stare blankly at David. We don't know what to do. Well, thinking for Byron, no idea.
Are you gonna like call a homicide in? See if he comes like if he's the guy that comes out?
I'm considering it, but they'll send uniforms before anything else.
Dave
Then
would
we just
certainly
awe
know.
them.
Uniformed CSU to go ahead and, do some initial scoping of their own before the detective, maybe drags his ass out of bed, drives
we
half
need-
tired.
So to
We
get him
would
out,
need
you
an actual body, a real crime scene,
to
to
get
lure
him
him
out.
to lure him out that particular way.
What if you
Well,
kill
you're
the
in luck.
commissioner?
You're in luck. We have 3 dead bodies right here. But I understand we're gonna have to.
Does it have any information on whether he has a patrol car or anything like that?
Don't most detectives sit behind a desk
Yeah,
until they're called out?
most detectives are plain clothes and have their own vehicles.
Yeah, he doesn't use a car issued like a patrol vehicle. He has his own.
So it seems like the only way of getting him out here is to call in the homicide.
Yeah, but then what?
I'll be right back. My dog is barking at something.
Fair enough.
Marcus just like holds his finger up. David's like, then what? No, hold on. Wait, what? You can't do this to me. I'm the only one who can do this. The Savalon, who's actually met final death. Yes. He's not real.
If you ask anyone in the coterie, that's what they'll tell you. Except maybe Joseph. Maybe
Except
he's got
for
it.
Joseph, definitely. I mean, certainly Byron and Marcus, they can choose to believe what they want. It's just the vibe they got from David was that he thought Savalon was dead. And then he proceeded to be an asshole to Joseph.
You should not argue in front of the kids.
Yeah, I was hoping to try to get the discussion to more different facets of David going down there, so maybe we get another role with something different. But he was laying it on so thick that I tend to agree that Byron would just say, okay, he's gone completely completely into sarcasto mode. As my mom used to say.
Sarcasto.
That's what my mom used to say when I would do it. When I'd say, "Oh yeah, I'll get right to it," or something stupid. Say, "Oh, it's sarcasto boy again." Yeah, whatever.
Da, da, da,
Yeah,
da.
yeah. There was no way Joseph was going to turn the other ones against him. So he's hoping he can do something with Theo. So that's why he's staring at the door at the moment.
He's still staring, by the way. It's a pretty door.
Is it?
I'm just gonna laugh if Theo never comes out. You stand there all during the day.
The continued presence is definitely making the guards feel awkward, too.
At least it's not fucking with them the way that David did.
Well, they can at least be happy that it's not Joseph's the one that's fucking with them.
David built himself a fucking lip. By knocking on a door.
Well, if the Archon had been as angry then as he is now, it wouldn't have mattered whether David had knocked on the door or not. Joseph's time, by the way, it's not that Theo is silent the entire time. There is a sporadic series of profanities, of harmful and derogatory words towards, in no particular order, anarchs, Sevalod, warlocks, uh, people who live in Astoria and Flushing, Queens, people who live in the Bronx, in Brooklyn, in Manhattan, anarchs again.
A lot of those Joseph will respond through the door. Depending on if he can say something without actually pissing him off more. Well, he probably is pissing him off more just by speaking and being there, but
Yeah,
he,
yeah.
if he can say something that doesn't sound like it's, hey, I'm pissing on you too.
I think never mind. Not gonna say it.
The rain sure is warm today.
I will say though, I mean, you got huge cojones. Byron would have been out of there immediately. Well, he was out of there immediately. He doesn't want to poke at the Archon. Fuck that.
Like, there's a difference between the sheriff, you know, who's just hanging on with the authority that Calibros gave him, and the fucking Archon.
Joseph's not afraid. He's a Malkavian. He's too crazy to be afraid.
Oh, and, Sean, I think that, Joseph's bus is stuck in a traffic jam right now.
It is. It's Theo's crossing guard, and he's waving it down and holding up the stop sign. And he's just,
The bus is like, I have priority, damn it!
I have people to run over.
This is a short bus. There are handicapped people in here.
I just like to imagine he has a bus with a removable steering wheel. You know, like how you can remove wheels from bikes, and he just walks around with otherwise. It's this huge, you know, 1.5 foot wide steering wheel just in his hand at the door.
No, Jazz, the session's not over. Jordan had a problem to deal with.
And I'm back.
There we go.
The dog needed to be let out because apparently everyone that's normally in the house isn't here today.
Well, now we can continue. So
What are we gonna do? David, Aaron?
I don't know. I honestly don't. Staging a crime scene just seems sloppy. A breach of the Masquerade waiting to happen. But I don't
So
really
then
have
we-
any alternatives to offer.
Well, then we're staging a crime scene.
Byron's just shaking his head. It's like, really? That's the best? We
Considering
don't
we
just
don't know where he lives, so we really can't go and, bust into his house there.
Does he tend to work nights or during the day? In terms of when he's actually at his desk?
Dust definitely says he ends up being a night guy. He and his trusty partner, uh, Richie Curtis.
Oh, I was going to say McElroy Fitzgerald.
Well, there you go. McElroy Fitzgerald. That'll be fun. I didn't know whether you wanted to think of another name, although Marcus was the one who came with the first name.
So we're just going to go to the homicide department at the precinct?
Could try to follow him home from work. Depends on what time he gets off. If it's before
What if he
sunrise
doesn't-
or not.
What if he doesn't get off until, 8 a.m.?
Then that's problematic.
Well, we are. There is a bit of a time constraint here because I figured they're going to fill Vargas's role within the next couple of days. So we probably, if we're going to Google this guy first before suggesting his name to, and also we haven't figured out how are we going to even get Dominique alone to even suggest this.
Does he need to be alone?
Well, I mean, if you want me to place a suggestion, we need some time without distraction. And it's definitely going to, if anybody's around, it is going to seem odd to them. They would need to be distracted somehow, perhaps. I mean, sure, I could try to get everyone to like me enough, and I could just kind of suggest offhandedly. It all depends. It all depends how exposed you want us to be.
It's also a reasonable point. It's something that Byron would have thought about. That considering it, for you guys as well, though you don't use dominate, for everything that you've heard about the commissioner to suggest to him, the fact that maybe Jermaine's targeting him to begin with, the fact that everyone's obsessed about him, being like a control freak and a health nut, he probably has a pretty sturdy willpower, and is probably the type of nature that would give him to being the one taking orders, not being the one who gives the orders rather than take them.
Yeah, I mean, the only saving grace there is that for that one roll, Byron does get 9 dice and a -2 to the difficulty. So Byron would know that's the thing he's really good at. So if there's anybody, it would be him that could do it.
It would
I
be
don't know, at this
Valentine.
point, it would almost be, it almost sounds like it would be easier to negotiate with the Anarchs, or, I don't know.
What would we negotiate exactly?
They let us control Astoria, get access to our own, let us put someone in the 114th, and we don't make any trouble for them. At least in terms of their police actions.
What do they gain by doing this?
They gain us not struggling against them like this.
Do you think they would care? I mean, do you think we're that big of a threat to them?
I don't know. They felt the need to warn Joseph, didn't they?
I'll pack you in there nice and tight.
Oh yeah, if anyone else is there,
It just feels like we're giving up, David. You just want to give up, turn tail, kowtow to the first guy who has power. Is that what you want to do?
No, but they already have a huge advantage over us. I'm trying to think strategically. And I'm really not sure how to handle this.
I'm not either. One could actually interpret, although it would be a very loose interpretation, that them warning Joseph was actually an introduction of sorts, so we possibly could pay them a visit to understand exactly what their end objective is, and we might be able to legitimately ask them about that at this point.
What their end objective is? Their end objective is for Boss Callahan to basically rule the city.
Right. I mean, that is. I mean, what I'm basically backing up what David is saying. That if we go in there, we have a reason to ask them. It's like, okay, you're going after these people, but this concerns our domain. You're asking us, if I understand correctly, this is to them, that to back off. However, in order for us to do that, we need to know that our domain is safe. And I think they ought to understand that. And perhaps we can reach an agreement there. I kind of see David's point because I really don't want to antagonize them.
You need to remember
right now.
one thing. After the Battle of New York, we swept all the Anarchs to Staten Island. What's to stop them from wanting to get revenge and then sweeping all the Camarilla somewhere else? Even a simple agreement with them would not be safe or sacred.
Even if an agreement was a strong term, I just want to hear what they say their stand is on it, what they say their agenda is, what they say they want to do. Whether it's a lie or not, we can determine for ourselves later. However, we really have no information right now. We just have the information that they are, and out of character, he doesn't know what David knows. It's like, we just know that they're trying to control our commissioner here in Queens.
Yeah, you may not have heard the rumors, but I've heard them.
Joseph said they're also turning officers all the way down in Brooklyn and throughout Queens as well.
Yeah. This is a concentrated effort for them to take power.
Well, that...
A force.
Well, now that explains Theo's mood.
I left Theo a note yesterday about it.
Oh, you did? Of course. Well, then that's why he already...
Yeah, when I went back, after you guys told me and I went back in, I couldn't find him, so I left him a note. I hope he got it.
Oh, apparently he did.
Judging by mood when he met us, yes.
Well, that's great.
The question is, can you do anything about it?
No clue.
Well,
I don't know
as I recounted at the start of the session, the name of Theo Bell strikes terror in both Sabat and Anarchs.
I'm going to try to find our intrepid detective's partner's address.
Yeah, he's definitely got one listed. He lives, actually just like a few blocks from Astoria Estates.
And I don't suppose we have a duty roster here.
No.
I didn't figure we would.
This Farnsworth guy, he is still married though, and he has 2 small girls, twins. Farnsworth, I wrote down the name and I fucking forgot it already. Let me switch back to the right. There we go. McElroy Fitzgerald. Yep, the 2 girls are 4. As for McElroy, he's in his mid-30s.
All right. I think that we use him to find out where Al Farnsworth lives.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
I'm thinking maybe something as simple as calling him, saying that we're some kind of bureaucrat trying to find the current address for Farnsworth could work. Saying that our old one isn't valid, the one that we have on record. It shouldn't be too hard.
Well, that sounds like a job for our resident Ventru.
Byron will smile graciously and say, all right, what's the number? And
let's decide what bullshit story it's going to be exactly, and what department you're going to be masquerading as.
Human resources is always a good one. Nobody really questions about them annoying the crap out of them, although it is the middle of the night, which might be odd.
Human resources for what? For the police?
It could be the city's.
They're the ones who would keep the
It
files
could be
up
the
to
city's
date.
Department of Human Resources. If there's a Department of Human Resources in the city.
Yeah, it could be anyone following up on the paperwork, because you could even kind of tell a half-truth and say that he is being considered, he is on a list for the...
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what the term is for, like, the city clerk's office. What is that?
Right. I don't remember the exact term. Just, you'd have to try to think of, like, yeah, I'm the department of, people who might call at, like, 2, 3 in the morning.
That's the thing.
That is the name of the department.
To say, there are obviously going to be interns and clerks somewhere who have to go through this shit no matter what time of day, right? Overworked and underpaid.
Right, and I think that the story should basically be that they're trying to update his file, and that his current address is invalid. And does he know where he's currently living? Because right now, all we have is a P.O. box. Trying to lie as little as possible.
Might this not be easier in person?
God, no. Why would we show up to the door at 2 a.m.? That's even more shady than calling.
Right, but he may or may not remember it if we're there. I can't make him forget anything over the phone. I mean, I'm just saying that, okay, if we call him up at 3 a.m., I just don't know of many government workers that call up in the middle of the night, although he is...
We don't need to make
he does
this
work
completely...
nights, right?
Yeah, he does. And we don't need to make this completely non-suspicious. We don't need to erase this from his memory. We really do just need this guy's address.
All right, so...
Don't need to erase his memory. We're just basically saying we're a department that's looking for to upgrade his thing. That's all we need.
Oh,
and
no,
if you can, sound slightly exasperated and put out as well. Empathize.
Oh, easy. My only concern was out of character, I'd forgotten that he sleeps during the day, works at night, and I was just like, if we're going to wake him up in the middle of the night, that's just weird. But no, if this is when he works, it makes sense.
question is whether he's at home right now. Actually, do you have his desk number as well?
We can just
When
call
you
it the
arrive.
precinct and probably get forwarded.
I mean, his file would have his desk number as well, right?
Yeah, you have it.
All right, so yeah. Check in at home for him first, then call him at the office if he's not there.
One little hole though. Why are we calling him instead of Farnsworth himself?
That's fair. All right. Call Farnsworth's office phone if he answers. Same story. Currently an invalid address. Need to update it for the city clerk's file. Shouldn't be too hard.
All right, will do. And Byron will dial the number.
The desk phone rings 4 times. Then there's a click, and you hear Detective Fitzgerald here. Farnsworth is not at his desk right now getting coffee. Can I help you?
Oh, for crying out loud! I've been trying to reach him for a few days, and I finally figured out you guys work nights. I'm from the clerk's office, and I don't know if you can help me if I need to wait for Farnsworth, but it looks to me that there's a little discrepancy in his file, and his address, well, let's just say it seems to be inaccurate, and it would be nice if we could get an update on that.
There's a pregnant pause, and then fucking stupid. That is the 3rd time he's gotten his address wrong. Did he put himself living in the East River again?
Yes. In
Oh,
fact, dead smack in the middle.
I can't. They just let anyone out of the academy. I gotta tell you what. And he rattles off the address. It's just, he's like 4 apartments down from me. It's right there. It's obviously he's at fucking getting coffee right now. If apparently doesn't help him be intelligent.
Yes, we all have those type of people. Thank you very much. I'm glad this was sorted out so easily. I'll tell you, I'm just glad it's sorted out. Thank you very much.
Yeah, don't mention it. And then, as he goes to hang up, you hear a loud yell, "You stupid son of a bitch!" Then click.
All right, and Byron jotted down the address. All right, well, it seems to be in the same building, actually.
Well, that's great.
That it is. We've got that. We can easily wait for a day off and stake out the place and get it done. And even if I may be so bold, we could even do a twofer if we get both of them. Might be a way of hedging our bets.
Do you know when his day off actually is?
Nope.
Nope, didn't think to ask, and even if I had, that may have sounded a bit suspicious. But it seems like this guy tends to be really bad about giving his correct address on those forums.
Yeah, all right. I'll snoop around and see what I can find.
All right, sounds good.
In fact, I'm probably gonna go break into his apartment. So, keep it on the down low.
Yeah, in that case, Byron will say, well, we can, what do you got planned, Marcus?
Oh, and do you still have that thermos of blood? If we're not going to use it, I'd kind of like it back.
Sure thing. Byron pulls it out of wherever the 11 weapons that you have in RPGs go when you put them in your inventory and gives it to him.
That's fine.
He brings up his weapon wheel.
That's it.
pulls a mouse out of nowhere, just like scrolls through.
Why is his blood in your weapon wheel?
Yo, I don't know about yours, but my blood is pretty potent.
Sometimes you just gotta lube up the wheel, man.
Gotta grease the engine.
Grease the skids.
Blood makes terrible lube.
It's a shame you're a vampire. That's the only fluid you got.
Well, all right, so I'll hand it off, and then Byron will ask Marcus what he has planned for the rest of the night.
That exciting, huh, Marcus?
Basically, the choices are either Byron is going to continue training Auspex, or he's just going to go hunting. I mean, those are his choices. So if Marcus is content to sit around here, we'll do that. If he wants to do his own thing, Byron will go hunt.
Jordan might have stepped away. We'll go ahead and assume that you're going to train.
Fair enough.
Hello?
Hey there.
Yeah, now
Hello.
I don't understand what was going on. I was actually talking for like 5 minutes there.
Your microphone was muted, perhaps?
No, it wasn't. Apparently I had to bring TeamSpeak back to the front.
No?
It fixed all the problems.
Are you running TeamSpeak as an administrator? Because sometimes if that's not your active window,
I run everything. I run everything on my computer as an administrator.
Oh, okay.
Whatever. I'm dealing with some weird stream issues right now. Like, it decides to drop all the frames for like 30 seconds at a time, and then my streamer key doesn't work anymore.
I heard problems from Griff as well about having to reset the stream key numerous times. You're not the only person it's happened to.
Well, if it happens again, I'm sorry, Twitch, you'll just have to go and watch the podcast on Grimith's channel.
That's right. This is a convenience that Jordan is providing. It's not something that's supposed to be distracting him. Anyway,
It's not really distracting.
will Marcus help Byron learn how to keep spelling?
Yes. You're
Can
so
we move on
close.
to listening or seeing now? Because man, I think
I
I
don't
got
know.
this
I
down.
think Byron already kind of smells a lot.
All right, David. The ball is in your court. Then you have obtained Thermos Git.
Wait,
All right.
he's the one ghouling him?
No, I got my thermos back because, you guys don't need my blood anymore.
You gonna drink that blood? You have 13 points.
So I have what?
So you regain 13 blood points. Or you're just gonna put it in your refrigerator at your haven for like a rainy day.
I might put it in my refrigerator for a rainy day. We'll see, won't we?
It's his fucking blood, damn it. His Vitae.
I mean, at this point, it's, cold and old and maybe it has some sort of ghouled up fungus living in it now.
Can you get blood bound to yourself?
No.
No.
Yeah, I know.
No.
It was a joke.
So, as you three are standing around, though, a crackle of lightning momentarily creates a power flicker within Astoria Estates as it begins raining heavily outside.
It's a good thing no one of us said it could be worse.
It could be raining.
It isn't. Look outside.
Shut up.
Been a long
That's what
time
I'm
since
here
it's
for.
rained during the session, right?
Yeah, I think it snowed once or twice, but I don't think it has ever rained.
Oh no, it's rained before. I will remind you of the session where you guys decided to speedboat across the East River to get to Staten Island.
That was a
During
good session.
effectively what was a hurricane?
Yep, good session.
All right.
Smart decision.
Anyway, Aaron, the ball's in your court. Joseph's still standing in front of Theo's door, and these guys are going to train off specs.
All right, cool. Dave's going to go scope the place out, see if he can get into it through the fire escape. If not, he might try and break into it through the front door.
Well, interesting news. David gets to there. And, now it's become heavily raining outside. Leaning against side of a building. Water now falling all over the sort of neutral face covered in a patchwork of gray beard and scars. With the various sort of, they appear to be knife wounds. Just old knife wounds that have covered basically from his temple down to his neck. And his leather jacket with a cozy red sweater and jeans is someone that David has definitely seen before, primarily and lastly, back there guarding Marlena, Duke Wiley. He's not looking at the door. Apparently his eyes are just sort of glancing all around, not looking at the door.
Well, David's going to turn up his collar, hunch his back to the rain, and stride across the street to lean against wherever.
Duke Wiley, does not turn to look at David, and just continues to look up at the rain and look over at one of the beautiful, like, a gold lamp as it casts its light, a half shadow over him. Puts his hands in his jacket pockets and says, I was hoping I wouldn't have to do any more damage control out here, damn it.
Oh.
So, is there something you want that, well, we all want everything, but something more immediate?
We want control of the 114th.
The trained military man shrugs. Not a problem. Are you accusing us of having killed your former guardian?
Not at all. But I've heard that you're angling in on the commissioner that oversees this precinct, among others.
He shrugs. It's a political type of affair. We're in a rush. The deputy inspectors that oversee individual precincts are not our immediate concern. And we would not want to infringe upon your domain anyway. The military man actually turns to look at David at the moment and offers a half smile.
David's gonna smirk back and say, well, you certainly presented yourself in our domain politely enough.
And Duke does look around and say, I do suppose I did technically intrude here, but I tried. I didn't have your number. Do you accept calls from strangers?
David will actually pull out a card and scribble his number on it. That's my line. If you want, you can go in there and ask them for theirs.
Duke shakes his head. It was more me being facetious, but I suppose you called me on it.
A story is important to us.
Of course.
If pushed, we might do something stupid and dramatic. And right now we're starting to feel a little bit pushed.
The wily fist looks away. I think I understand a lot about pushing. Although it is unfortunate, no repercussions will come for this from us to you, but unfortunately now the Archon knows. And Duke pushes off the wall and sprints away.
Well, I just had the most interesting conversation with Duke Wiley.
What? He was here?
Right across the street. I gave him my number so he could call ahead next time he decides to come into our domain unannounced.
Yeah, I won't even take that bet whether he'll bother. Byron just shakes his head. So, what did he have to say? He tell us to GTFO they're taking over or what?
He said that he's not interested, they're not interested in the 114th in particular, that this is all part of a bigger political move, and that they're racing against the clock, performing a rush job because Theo Bell has found out what they're doing.
Byron will give a small smile and say, through no fault of our own, of course.
Oh no, I told him. I'm not going to pretend I didn't.
Well, fair enough. As long as there are no hard feelings, I guess it doesn't matter.
I also made implications that we might do something stupid and desperate if we feel cornered, which is true.
Heck, we might do something stupid anyway, just for shiggles.
Right, but it won't be as desperate. Just
There you go.
So, I think we might actually have time to work on the 114th, as long as we can tolerate the lapse in security.
Yeah, well, if they're content to let us have it, I say we just let Dominique make his choice, and then we can duel him at our leisure. It keeps it
seems
cleaner.
that way if Duke Wiley was actually being candid, which I'm willing to believe he might have been, but not necessarily assume he might have been.
Well, you're the one that talked to him, so your call. And I'll admit that Duke Wiley is fairly enigmatic to me anyway, so I don't know if I'd even be able to tell if I were talking to him what he was up to.
Regardless,
Problems.
this is part of a bigger move.
The problem still remains that there's still Germain to deal with.
Is there?
I have no
Germain?
indication to. I have no indication to believe that he is sided with the Anarchs.
He's apparently working for them.
Yeah, that's what
He worked
Joseph,
for us. Germain worked for us, and although he said he protected us, he also did a lot of shit that got us in trouble as well.
That's
Not
what
exactly. He's not
But,
exactly a trustworthy guy.
Well, I mean, at least this time he's not going to be torn between Sevalot and someone, because at least he's out of the picture.
We don't really know his motivation in this, which is, well, I mean, that's a problem in its own right.
I would be more at ease if it was someone else within the Anarchs that was ghouling Dominic Gressman.
Definitely agree with that, but I don't know what we can do at this point about it.
I just want to know what his motivation is. Is he
Well,
siding
you're
with
going to
them
have to...
because he believes in their agenda? Is he pursuing his own?
I don't think he's pursuing their agenda. That he seemed way too power hungry to side with the Anarchs.
Yeah, the impression I got from Germain is that while he may work by the letter of the law, like if he agrees to something, he might do it, but he's always looking out for number one. I mean, if he can find a way to maneuver it to his advantage, he'll bend the intent all he can.
So what do we do about him then?
That is the $25,000 question now, isn't it?
Sorry, what?
Well, I was just doing a callback to the game show thing from the beginning.
No, I didn't actually catch what you said.
Oh, I said that's the $25,000 question now, isn't it?
Yep.
So we need to get in contact with Germain. You tried, Matt. We already tried, Match, and I still don't. Even though I said we could earlier, I don't think it's a really good idea to go pacing around Staten Island. Hey, have you seen Jermaine Wallace? He's a black guy, mighty big.
But why do we need to even contact him? I'm confused.
So we know what his motives are. He's the only one who's going to know what his motives are.
So you want to?
At the very least, we could have a discussion with him to make sure that there won't be any sort of a conflict over the 114th, even if Duke Wiley is the apparent spokesperson of the Anarchs. Germain's the one who's actually in control of the commissioner in question.
David's phone quickly vibrates just one time, and then it stops, and it shows that David has a missed call.
David takes a look at it.
It's some string of numbers you can save in your phone book.
Somebody butt dial you.
David will call that number back and take a few steps away from them.
There's a ring, and then it picks up, and you hear the soft, calm voice of a man in command. I thought this would be the quickest way to get you my number.
I appreciate it. And tell me if this is asking too much, but do you have Jermaine Wallace's number? I understand that he's the one in charge of this particular ghoul, and I'd just like to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Well, I would certainly hope that I have his number, considering how he answers to me right now, yes.
May I have it? And if not, feel free to give him my number instead.
Perhaps there is something that can be relayed. After all, he works for me, so any issue that he has would become my issue, so you can go through me. What's the problem, Mr. Green?
Well, even if he works for you, he's the one who has ghouled the commissioner, correct?
Yes.
Well, I'd like to make sure that he'll be handling the situation in such a way that we'll still be able to have relative autonomy with the 114th.
There's a pause, and then Duke Wally says, honestly, we don't care about Astoria.
the commissioner will be too busy to try to micromanage any situation that occurs over there anyway. His management concerning your domain will not change. I believe you that that's your intent, but unless I'm mistaken, Germain will be the one directly managing him, and I'd prefer to hear that from him. He and this group have a bit of a history, and
Oh yes, I've unfortunately had the pleasure of learning that the hard way.
and I'd like to make sure that no one's going to be stepping on anyone else's toes.
I'm sure you would, Mr. Green. Unfortunately, you have filled the rest of my Rolodex with trying to handle a rather irate Archon. But at least we'll have each other's numbers now. Make sure we try not to violate each other's domains in the future. And then the voice hangs up.
Well then. The Duke's respectful, but he's none too pleased, and knows full well it was me.
Right. So we're not getting Jermaine's contact number through the direct route anyway. Yeah.
He did make a vague assertion that the commissioner will be far too busy, though.
That doesn't sound ominous at all. But I guess we have his word that he's not going to affect Astoria? Is that worth much?
We have the Duke's word, but...
We have the Duke's word that he's not interested in Astoria.
At least not right now. Who knows what next year or next decade will...
David nods slowly, a sad smile on his face.
I don't think to be honest, if Marlena wins, I don't expect the city to remain under her control for longer than a year.
No, nor do I. She's not a strong enough prince. She'll end up stepping down or being assassinated for someone else.
And it doesn't happen to Small Attack.
Like I said, stepping down or assassinated for someone else.
And then Theo Bell will have him into the city again.
Yeah, I'm sure he's
Funny
looking forward to that.
story. Carter Vanderweyden has apparently suggested that the seat of sheriff would be mine if I dealt with Marlena. I have very little doubt it has to do with the much overhyped display I put on at Madison Square Gardens the other day.
Well, you'd be a decent, you'd be a good choice for sheriff. Really don't have any. I don't really think of anyone else I'd put there before you.
If it were an elected office, you'd have my vote.
David gives a chagrined grimace. Yeah, baby. But I don't know that I want to assassinate someone for it.
Hey, I'll remind you of what Garza didn't say you had to kill her. Just deal with it.
I mean, if you could just get her to go somewhere else, to leave the city.
Oh yeah, because I'm just staggeringly persuasive.
Or, pull out all of her teeth so that she's not a threat and she doesn't send the city flying into anarchy even if Carter declares himself prince, because that's what she's going to do. She's probably going to be self-destructive about it. And while it might not be a bad thing to get rid of her and a bunch of anarchs who might side with her anyway, it could be harmful to the long-term control of the city.
And by pull out all her teeth, you meant that figuratively, right?
Well, and
Because we
here's
could
the
pull
thing.
out all her teeth.
Even if I were to do that, even if we did declare Carter prince, and even if he became prince, the Anarchs are still in control of our commissioner. See the problem?
I do.
So we kill the commissioner.
Or otherwise.
If we're going to make any move against the Anarchs or against Marlena, we'll have to deal with the commissioner somehow at the same time. Not necessarily fatally, but we'll have to remove him from power. And that's if we decide to stand against the Anarchs publicly.
Yeah, on that, have you made a decision one way or the other on that?
No, I haven't. We really are caught between a rock and a hard place.
Agreed.
So we get rid of the rock, the hard place.
Or we find a way to climb over one of them.
Who's the commissioner?
That'd be the chief of police, right?
Let's ghoul him.
No, I mean, that was an actual question.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. I was trying to think if there's anyone. I mean, there might be some deputies or something that might be functionaries, but it's chief of police. The office, I think, is directly over the commissioner.
Well, I mean, that'd be the chief of police, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
If we ghoul him,
of course, you know, the odds of that, assuming that somehow magically he wasn't already claimed in some form or fashion by another vampire anyway, he could perhaps be the ally of maybe numerous kindred throughout the entire city.
Yeah, I mean, someone that high profile. He's probably already claimed, unless for some reason everyone assumed that he was already.
I mean,
No one bothered.
I mean, you're getting into a situation where, you know, like, say, the President of the United States, you know, according to everything that I've read, you know, they don't mess with, like, the super powerful, you know, mortal people in terms of, like, making them ghouls or what have you.
Chief of police, that's an elected position, right?
I do believe so, yes.
And the elections aren't anytime soon.
No, they are not.
I believe they would happen every 4 or so years if they're going by the standard, because the police chief around here is usually elected every 4 years.
Yeah, we'll say he'd be in office for at least another 2 years. The current guy, unless, you know, he died or had to resign or, you know, he was booted out of office for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, the only easy way that I can think of to get our own guy into the chief of police is to get rid of the current one and ghoul both the candidates before either of them even get elected.
Yeah, and let me just say right now, I am pretty certain that if we were to succeed and we were to get our ghoul into office, that would paint a huge target on our back. Because if anyone,
it would, because then it would be the exact same. Everyone would be in the position that we're in now, where they suddenly realize that we have a ghoul who has police authority over their fucking domain.
Exactly.
That's the problem with these power plays.
We're gonna be breaking some eggshells no matter what we do here. We just have to pick the eggshells.
Yeah, let's just not break all the eggs at the same time. I think that's the major issue.
Well, that's the only way to do this.
All right, maybe we're thinking about this too, I don't know, directly. How can we approach this problem from the side?
Which problem are you talking about? Not the chief of
The
police.
problem, the problem of our domain's security. We have an issue. The problem is that we don't have a person within the police, and someone else does.
Could we push for a redistricting of the police commissioners? Maybe get a third police district going on?
A third?
I'm
Maybe,
just thinking
but that would take months to actually pull off.
I don't know, Paul. I'm just saying that seems like a way to come at from the side, maybe even from below.
Right. Maybe we don't even go for one of the people in charge. Maybe we get a few people spread throughout the 114th. A dispatcher here, a detective there.
But then the problem is they don't, when we need them to pull their weight, they don't have that weight of their voice to say go do this like Vargas did.
I don't
Like
think
Vargas,
saying
like Vargas could get away with,
Go ahead. No, that's okay.
like, see, if the situation happens where we're at a crime scene that we know is not the way that one group has put it, what do we do telling our, multiple ghouls inside the police station? They really can't do anything besides pester the guy in charge, and the guy in charge probably is going to ignore them.
Yeah, we need someone with relative autonomy.
Well, it goes back to my previous point. We could fairly easily get both these two detectives.
I have an idea. I have an idea.
Okay. Let's hear it.
Who's in charge of internal affairs in the NYPD?
I mean, that'd be the senior-most internal affairs agent.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
We take over him, and then we suddenly have a guy that we can use to put pressure on all the other police agencies,
That's true. Take people we don't want out of the way, put the people we do want in place. He could also get us access to all kinds of people we could ghoul when we need a ghoul.
Yeah, the problem with this, of course, is getting access to him because he's internal affairs. I'm just saying there's a group of people that sort of is first among equals, you know what I mean?
Yeah. They definitely have, independent authority, so to speak.
And you could have him basically, I don't know how it would solve the security problem here, but it could easily just, keep pressure on the 114th to be more, up to snuff. I still think we should go ask.
I mean, we don't really need, strictly speaking, we don't need control over the 114th. When Vargas was in place, we hardly ever had him actually do anything. We just want to make sure that the place is properly patrolled.
Yeah, and then with the internal affairs guy, you could do that just by, the threat of investigation.
I'm liking that. Do they have anyone from internal affairs specifically assigned to the 114th?
Vargas kept a pretty great ship on that regard. Apparently IA didn't really fuck with him.
It's fair.
He kept results and kept Astoria generally safe, except for those couple of incidents.
Of course the bombing was totally written off as, a gas leak, so it was an accident, so not his fault. And that crazy snowman thing, that was just some sort of crazy serial killer type situation, and, you know.
And
Okay,
the
so-
serial stuff.
So what we need to do is we need to get someone assigned here. I mean, with the loss of Vargas, with someone quitting immediately, it shouldn't be too hard with the well-placed domination to make that happen.
Sure.
And then we
Just need to
ghoul
know
the
where to go.
And then we ghoul the agent assigned to the 114th. Whoever's
So
assigned
So
to
you want-
keep them shipshape and properly managed.
so you want us to cause some trouble?
No, we don't
Or
need
do
to
you
cook
wanna
up
just-
trouble. There's already been a bit of trouble cooked up, especially with the sudden quitting. I mean, that implies a lot of things. All the more if we can... No, that'd be stepping on some toes. We don't want to run a story about police corruption. But, yeah, if we
Maybe
can find out...
maybe we could dominate a police officer to put in anonymous tip that the 114th isn't all it's cracked up to be.
Sure, but at the end of the day, what we really need to do is just... Rather than ghouling the person in charge of IA, which, again, brings a huge target to our back, we just need to give them one command to place a permanent person at the 114th.
If I may, that's a good idea. But how about, I mean, the person that I get to do this is probably going to be the one that oversees things. If I have contact with that person to dominate them, why not just make a ghoul out of that person?
Well, because then that raises the question of whether we want to put that target on our backs. We get control of that
'Cause
person, we suddenly have a whole lot of control over Queens in general, which could be bad, because that's not our domain. A story is.
Astoria is, to a lesser extent, part of Flushing's.
Right.
It's pretty much just, I'm just thinking it'd make a stalemate between us and the Anarchs.
We don't need to
well, the thing-
fix a stalemate between us and the Anarchs. We just need to shore up our territory. We need to turtle up. The rest of Queens doesn't matter as long as we can keep our borders safe.
The thing, Byron, you need to understand is, although we're part of the Camarilla right now, we're not the Camarilla. We're a coterie doing this to defend our territory.
It's up to Theo Bell, or whoever
If
the new
Theo
prince
Bell and
is,
Valentine,
to handle
if Theo Bell and
Queens.
if Theo Bell and Valentine do go ghoul this guy for the Camarilla, we'll go do that because we know the Camarilla's got our back. But right now, we don't know the Camarilla has our back.
And we don't want to be put in a situation where suddenly there are, 4, 5, 6 coteries who are suddenly worried because we've gotten control over police throughout Queens.
Now, having
Unless we're planning on
influence,
expanding. And right now
having
I'm more
influence in
concerned
departments. Follow me here,
Right now-
David. Having influence in those departments is not a bad thing. Having direct power is. A nearby IA aid will make police departments in the entire Queens area step it up a bit.
Fair enough.
Know what I mean?
You sold me on that, but yeah, whoever meets with this person needs to just leave a really good impression regardless. Then there's no rule against us just coming across as super charming, is there?
No, of course not.
No. By all means.
All right,
But we're just saying,
need a name and a place, pretty much.
Basically,
I still think we should ghoul some people in the 114th just so we have,
Absolutely. No, I agree. We've been too lax. Vargas was so competent we didn't realize that we barely had control over the place.
Yeah, and on that note, I mean, Byron, this is off topic entirely, but Byron will say, yeah, and while we're getting all these people, I've been thinking of getting someone in I just lost, in City Hall, like a functionary of some sort, just to keep their ear to the ground there as well.
Just to sort
It'd
of keep
probably be
everything moving
easy.
smoothly.
It'd probably be easier to get one of the clerks to one of the aldermans in the city council.
Yeah, that's what it would be.
Getting someone, the closer you get to the mayor, the more and more problems you're likely to get.
Oh yeah, I'm
Right.
saying
City
the
council,
highest
a little
I would
bit.
go is like a secretary.
We
or
just
something.
we just need a decent functionary who can make the right papers get lost.
Yeah, someone in the record
First-
keeping division is what I was thinking.
But I think the first we need to ghoul this IA agent, which means we need to get the IA agent here.
Right.
Okay.
Well, this is finally a plan I can get behind because even though it's got a couple of layers, it's not too intricate. It's solid.
And the best part is it probably won't ruffle too many feathers we don't want ruffled, and it has a decent likelihood of success.
Now that you said that, we're going to fail this. God damn it. New plan.
I only said decent.
Back to
Didn't
the
say
first
nothing to go
plan.
wrong.
Back to plan A. We're going to kill Jermaine.
That was never taken off the table. That is still Byron's agenda at some point.
It's still,
Whatever
Go
you
ahead.
guys do, just leave some way for Joseph to run you over with a bus.
Nope. If you're going to run us over the bus, you got to blow up your church first.
And on that note, thanks for the reminder. Byron's going to say, now, you two, I think it might be a good idea to not tell Joseph about this until we've gotten the ball rolling already. He has a tendency to jump in front of us and try to take matters into his own hands too much for my liking.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way.
I would rather not keep this away from him forever, though.
No, not at all. I just... It rubbed me the wrong way when I found out he had been visiting with the police without even telling us. But then again, we're about to do the same thing to him.
Yeah, here's the thing. Where we're acting as a group, as 3/4 of a coder, he acted alone.
Yeah, I guess you might be right. Still, I mean, we know that I've had my problems with him. I don't know. All right. I won't tell him yet, but he's getting told eventually.
Oh yeah,
Can
I
we
just
even-
mean once we.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I just say we'll tell him when it's happening. We'll set it up. We'll get this guy coming in here. Then we'll say we've gotten an IA guy set up here, and when we're going to deal with him, we will bring him along.
That raised the question of who's going to manage the IA agent. The way I figure it, each of us should have our own ghouls throughout the police department, just so that no one of us is necessarily managing too much. I feel like when I was handling Vargas, again, Vargas was an ally, not a ghoul, but I was really the main person handling him. And I feel like that's a little bit too much authority in one member's hands.
Agreed. It doesn't much matter who gets whom. I'm fine with a dispatcher or something like that. No big deal.
I figured you'd actually want the functionary, the person City Hall.
Oh, if you, I thought we were just talking about the police department, but yes.
I'm talking more in general. Because let's be real here, we're infiltrating the city government at
Agreed.
different
Oh,
levels.
yes. In that
different
case,
departments.
definitely. Yeah.
I guess that leaves the IAA to me.
If you want to. I kind of feel like Joseph or I would have the most police experience and be able to best handle him. But neither of us are exactly on good terms with each other.
That's the thing. You guys would hate it. If it was either me or Byron, you guys would, be much more trustworthy of it.
Yeah, it's just a question of... I'm not saying you're incompetent, you just don't have any police experience.
Oh, I have plenty of this experience. I know what a lot of cells look like.
David's gonna smirk at that. Yeah, I know you do.
And I know police procedure. You guys read me my Miranda rights. You put me up against the vehicle, tell me that I have the right to remain silent, and then I yell at you and call you a fat pig.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So
But-
see, I know police procedure.
But that's kind of why I don't necessarily want you interfacing with the police.
Well,
But
then
again,
it's gonna be it's gonna have to be Byron, who's already who you said is gonna have the functionary.
Well, I mean, if you want, I mean, I'm not married to the idea.
I really do want to handle it myself. I want to be the police liaison, but I don't want to push Joseph any further than he's already been pushed.
Just let me
necessarily
handle the
trust his
IA
reaction.
agent. Just let me handle the IA agent. Worst case scenario, we have to kill him.
That's a pretty bad scenario.
Kill who? Joseph?
Maybe.
David's going to frown at that. We're not killing a coterie member.
Yeah, Byron frowns too. Like, what the fuck are you on?
Listen, I'm not saying that if the situation gets bad enough, we won't break up as a coterie, but we're not going to kill each other. Not without going into frenzy first, anyway. David says as a very bad joke.
Yeah, yeah. Agreed. We can. I think the first thing we need to do is just get the IA agent into the 114th, and then.
Yeah, that's fair. Hell, for all we know, his presence there might fix up our security situation anyway. Make everything run tip-top.
Right, and once he's in place, then I think we should broach this with Joseph and.
Right, I'm just afraid that, and I mean, tell me if I'm off base here, that this doesn't sound like something he'd do. I'm worried that if we tell him about this before we've ghouled him, he might run off ahead and do it himself without consulting us.
He has done that in the past. He did that with Leslie Cutter. He did that with this most recent deputy.
And it seems like I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah,
like I said, it feels wrong to mislead him, but at the same time, he does kind of go on ahead without us a lot.
Right. Well, what I mean is we just tell him when we're all set to do it. Meaning we tell him and then we just go do it. He can give his input, and heck, maybe he'll convince us that he should be the one that controls whomever. It doesn't matter. But the point is that we go with him when he does it.
I mean, yeah, okay. I was going to say we could make it look like I went rogue and handled this myself, but that just made him angrier.
Right. Well, I think we're agreed. The first step, no matter what, is to get the AI guy in here, or IA, Internal Affairs, yeah, IA.
Which means the real first step is tracking down the person who can assign people like that.
Exactly. And Sean, just to reply to what you have in the Twitch chat, it isn't the fact that you told us; it's just you keep doing it on your own and telling us after the fact. It's kind of.
I can think of only those two instances.
Well, and also going and telling people stuff,
Oh
tattling
yeah,
on the party.
there's all the tattling. Okay, no, never mind. Go ahead and this time you can be the bus driver.
Yeah.
The tattling.
That's basically what we're talking about.
I forgot the tattling.
Joseph is always drive bus. He preempts the coterie without consultation.
He does it for their own good.
In his
Yeah,
And we're
We're
doing for
showing you
his
how
own
much we
good.
appreciate it right now.
And we're doing this for his own good, in our view. Oh, and by the way, just to kind of add a little bit of context, the way that David's rationalized his second stage blood bond to Joseph, combined with his massive disgust for certain of Joseph's behaviors, is he's kind of seeing Joseph as a misled, unruly child figure that needs handling to keep him from doing anything too bad.
Which is very much what Joseph sees in Byron and Marcus. He sees David more as the bad parent.
Mommy and Daddy are arguing. What do we do?
They're arguing out of character. Stop it!
Funny. Byron just thinks he's the one in control, and watching everyone fight amongst themselves is pretty funny.
That's what Marcus wants you.
Good job. You're the winner. Marcus
Okay,
is the-
first step. We get the IA agent here. How do we do that?
This is something you guys can talk about between sessions.
I think so.
It's going to take you all the rest of this endgame morning to plan that out, and then some more
Pretty
time,
much.
depending, yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about this on Skype in between sessions.
Yeah. Which is something I recommend doing. As for Joseph, it gets to about 4:45 in the morning, during which time Theobel has been going off the entire time. And the guards at this point at 4:45 actually end up leaving. The door is unguarded.
Theo? Your guards kind of just walked off.
That's what they do. So they get back into Havens in time. Why aren't you following their example?
Because got important stuff to talk about.
There's a long pause. All right, Joseph. I really appreciate what you and your coterie have done. So I'm going to give you this chance. If it's as important as you say, you can walk in or walk away. And either way I will forget. But if you are wasting my time, you will not like what happens next.
I'm pretty sure David knows what happened to Sevalod.
There's a pause, then... don't we all... The fiend is dead.
No, I'm pretty sure he knows that he's not.
Out of curiosity, how do you know?
Because I went he went down there by himself, didn't tell anyone, came up, and told the most ridiculous lie to us.
Thea says, if Sevalod were still alive, and still down there, where the warlocks knew about the fiend being, would David really have come back, unalive as it were?
Do you remember what happened to the sheriff?
Theo does not respond.
Can't prove it. Can't prove it, but
And then you hear a very audible
he can take a shotgun blast to the door. Joseph's not moving, unless he has to make a fear check.
No, no, there won't be a need for a fear check. Unless Joseph wants to be afraid.
Oh, he's well, no, it's like being punched. He's probably not that afraid. It's just a shotgun.
Yes, like being punched by 1,000 little balls into your skin.
Yep.
He's not using most of it. Well, I just wanted you to know that there's one more fucking thing to be worried about in this city.
A very strained voice replies, I'm sure there is, Joseph. I'm sure there is.
If you ever need some guidance, church doors are always open. Then Joseph will start walking away.
Joseph can complete walking away.
And then he'll drive very fast back home.
Alright, so we need to test, continuing test of Joseph's burgeoning drive skill. Give me a dexterity plus drive at difficulty 4. Alright! 3 successes! Joseph pushes the speed limit, doesn't even care. He makes it back home safely. Joseph's pretty much got an hour until sunrise.
Then he'll feel sheepish for having driven so fast when he didn't need to.
You're a priest, Godman.
Well, at least he wasn't drunk.
Shut up.
Alright. The continuing adventures of the vampire bus will have to conclude, for today's session is finished. I assume next session is going to be beginning on the following night, like this one did.
I would believe so.
I think that depends on what we end up deciding as far as the IA person goes. Unless Joseph has something he definitely wants to do the next night.
Well, next night he'll call you and ask what you guys are planning, and so it all depends on what you feed him.
I mean, he's probably still worried about, Astoria domain security, since the last deputy inspector's now gone.
Well, I don't think any of us will outright lie to Joseph when he asks what we're doing. You know?
I don't know.
Probably not. No, I mean, if he has direct
We'll
questions,
probably say we're working on a few ideas, and if we think of anything concrete, we'll call him, or maybe that might be a lie. I still think we would probably do the next night, or at the most the night after that.
It's gonna be the next night. If you guys are going to be attempting not truth, then we need to see the resisted rolls in action.
Okay.
Yeah, well, what it would be is Byron would do, not Truth. He'd say, yeah, we're looking into some things, or I'm looking into some things, and I'll let you know if it comes to fruition, which is exactly what he intends to do.
Which is still half a lie.
Right. I mean, he's not telling him what he's doing, but if we succeed in getting the IA agent moved to our domain, then he is fully intending to tell Joseph, we're going after this IA agent.
But I still think is we'll have to roll to make, that half lie, half truth thing. So I think it's going to be the next.
Fair enough.
We could do.
And
we
might
well,
even,
I was going to say we could do the roll now and then figure out if we're going to deal with it tomorrow.
Well, I mean, if we're not doing anything in particular on, any given night, we might actually skip a couple of nights early on in the session next time anyway. But it's true. We'll need to figure. We'll probably need to actually play it out.
Yeah, you'll need to play it out, and then you'll have to plan what you want to do. As for rewards, all of you will earn 2 experience points. Not spending them, though. You haven't had enough time to reflect. Given the sort of fluctuating situation, though, everyone loses a point of status.
Everyone?
Everyone.
Fair enough.
Which would still leave Aaron with 1, or rather David with 1.
Yep.
If Byron could see his character sheet, he would be very depressed right now.
Yeah, it's possible that the coterie has somehow managed within the span of a single session to use up every ounce of goodwill they had with the Archon.
All 4
Gee,
of
I
us.
wonder why. Oh well. We'll try not to piss off the Archon next session, I guess. Unless
I mean,
unless
David
he's
still has
directly.
some goodwill.
David technically has some goodwill, yes. It sort of happens whenever you
Yeah.
rip off a tentacle from a giant monster. Chaotic Idealism asks, has David considered appealing to Joseph's conscience instead of blowing up at him for being a murderer? Or is he too undiplomatic for that?
Yes, he is pretty undiplomatic, but he actually has appealed to it before, and Joseph keeps rationalizing it away.
Jazz asks, well, how did you piss him off? You just told him the truth.
Some don't want to hear the truth.
And some people want to have the truth approached in a much more tactful way.
Yeah.
And some people are at the verge of exploding just because of all the shit they have to deal with anyways, that even if they know it's okay, it still pisses them off.
And sometimes it's a combination of the three.
Theo has definitely made it clear that he doesn't like being in this city. He doesn't want to be in this city. And pretty much as soon as the Princeton situation is settled, he goes home. He's also vastly more powerful than what a prince would normally be, although a prince who's actually of New York City would definitely have quite a bit of power, him or herself. So in that effect, he's not someone who does fucking bookkeeping. He's an action guy, and now he's constantly glossing over reports just to make sure that the kindred in the city are holding them shits together. And he is inundated with problems the entire time, sort of how the sheriff or the prince basically would be. For Theo Bell is now the overseer, and these sons of bitches in Queens just fucking keep managing to run into some shit, and then they go tell him about it. It's possible that he is done.
We can always regain that, some good graces,
Well, I mean,
but...
the problem with us is that we're in the precarious position of constantly bringing problems to him and solving problems.
The problem with Joseph is everyone keeps saying his dark secret.
What
Which
what
is
dark?
that he's a bus driver?
That he's an
Yeah.
anarch.
Oh.
That's a dark secret.
It's not dark.
Well, I tell you what.
Not racist.
How about next session? Joseph just starts blabbing that David has the hidden Diablo and Byron is terrified by garlic, and Marcus is a drunk. Well, everyone knows Marcus is a drunk.
Everyone knows my flaws.
Larian has 2 questions. How comes Commissioner abusing power to use police officers as bodyguards? I'm pretty sure I gave you the answer to that straight up several hours ago. This is the World of Darkness. Like, what the fuck is wrong with new Sub-V? His cheerful and happy personality of that laughter is even worse. How comes? He can make a cocoon out of his own body fluids. I think he has problems. How did I like my first morsel of infighting in this campaign?
First?
Well,
previous morsels of
First?
Well, when that happened, first time, 10 weeks ago. I mean, 15, rather. 15 weeks ago.
Yeah,
I think it was Joseph back then, too.
It was,
Yeah. It was right after that one session, right before David went into torpor that first time.
Yep. I mean, I think the best way to answer that is that it gets interesting, and then I just get bored. Just
I think the first time is when Byron cut Joseph off and says, "Let's not lie about this," and we had that argument on the boat docks or whatever about it, or whatever.
That put you in chapter 6 when that happened.
Yeah, the first inside.
For a Justicar to come here, Jazz, the city would... I don't think a Justicar would ever come here.
The city would have to be in the middle of being overrun by Sabbat.
Even then...
Even then, it's 50-50.
Larian wants to know, Aaron, did you enjoy finally showing some rage emotion? I think it was amazing when you did catfight with Joseph. Well, I can answer that for Aaron. David and Joseph have had that situation before. There was a time after Joseph licked Marcus's shoe in Marcus's Haven, where they had a discussion about being forthcoming with certain details to Genie, who was a warlock.
It's true. And that was before David got his derangement under control. The reason he cut that argument off when he did was because he was afraid he might slip into frenzy if it went any longer.
I still wonder about the whole shoe-licking thing.
Do you four as players have any questions or comments about maybe something you misunderstood or didn't understand properly, or about the session?
I have no question. It was a pretty good game, and suddenly the Twitch chat is now doing me. I don't understand.
It signed you out, I think.
Yeah, my only thing was I was mildly surprised that that Theo Bell was so pissy when we met him that time. The first time before Joseph went there, that kind of caught me off guard.
Actually, Metal Slime Hunt, I thought that it was if half the coterie gets killed, the game's over.
Half?
It's whenever Grimith decides the game's over, then the game's over. That's what it was from the start. That's what it'll be at the end.
Well, Marcus, you died. Game's over. Well, this is awkward. I can't log in Twitch now. Time to clear my cookies.
See, I have a question for Sean, more of a question for Joseph. Is Joseph considering saying, screw the rules, I'm going with the Anarchs?
Joseph's main characteristic is that he takes care of people. There's literally a list of people who's most important, who's least important, and everyone's on the list. And he basically goes down the list and what will make sure that they're safe. And Coteries pretty high up there on the list, so Unless he can get them to flip 2, it's unlikely he'll just flip for the Anarchs unless they backstab him really badly.
So will there be a sequel? This game's not over yet.
Yeah, the sequel's next week.
There you go. See, I'm not in the professional business of making sequels before the first is finished.
Well, I mean, each of these sessions is much longer than a theatrical release, so,
Yes. What's Chaotic Idealism asks, what's David considering for his next steps in the mental duel with Sevalod's compulsions?
You'll see when it comes to that. So far, he's trying to set a train in motion where he's seen as shady as fuck. But unfortunately, considering he had always fostered a demeanor as an enigma before, that might take a while.
Joseph may have helped with that.
Yes, he might have. And if David knew about that, he would actually be really... I mean, at the same time, it would kind of reinforce his idea of Joseph running off to do things without consulting the party, but it would also make him happy that he did it.
This time Joseph will have been dead on. There's no reason for David to be pissed about that. He may very well still be.
He'll be pissed about the idea of it, but this particular situation he's okay with.
Has anybody gotten any rumors relating to Infernalist activity?
No.
Not that they could really say, right? Yeah, you know, maybe they have somewhere back in the day. Maybe.
I just haven't gotten any rumors about that. They
Where
don't
did
give a shit about that.
That's right. Where did the portraits of Sevalod came from? David never asked him?
Maybe the
Yeah,
Sevalod
David-
is actually a secret painter. Have you guys
David
thought
actually
that?
does care quite a bit about keeping his family out of harm's way. A lot. If the situation gets bad enough, he will reveal himself to his family and get them to safety.
That's right. Sevalod did promise that final death would be the least of your worries if you somehow found a way to defy him.
It's true. And I mean, here's the thing. The entire reason David cut himself off from his family to begin with was to protect them. If cutting himself off from his family no longer protects them, he will reintroduce himself dramatically.
Right. And of course, the reason why he went into a frenzy back in Chapter 3 was because of
His
failures.
family.
Yeah.
I mean, everything else aside, David still loves his family, even if they don't even know he's alive. Which is fucking tragic.
Well, turning back to you four players, was there anything about this session that you particularly liked, or particularly found interesting, or particularly disliked?
I really like the banter between those two. Slacha, can you bring them back?
They're both dead.
They're dead now.
Damn it! I have no reason to live. But yeah, I really thought the reintroduction of Cephalod was really, really cool and interesting, and now I'm scared because he's back.
Yeah, my first thought, Metal Slime Hunt, when those gold pillars were revealed was, I bet if we sold those off, we could build the Majestic tomorrow.
I think the pillars of aluminum would be worth more.
No, they wouldn't. Per volume, gold is much more valuable than aluminum.
At least until you flood the market.
Yeah, palladium, that might have been more impressive, but that's about the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, but palladium is highly toxic. Anyway,
Yeah,
we're talking
but
about
it's,
per volume, not per unit mass. Yeah, platinum is expensive as fuck, and there is not enough platinum in the world to make solid pillars that size. All of the platinum ever mined in all of human history can fit into one medium-sized living room.
This is the world of darkness.
Things
Mind
are
you,
different.
all of the gold ever mined in the entire history of the world can fit into 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools.
So what you're saying is that he's good at lying to himself. Sevalot is. It's like gold plated. It's like zinc down in there.
Oh
Or
no,
he
I
figured-
could totally buy that he's got that much gold. An Olympic-sized swimming pool is fucking huge.
I know.
Or
Mr.
he, since he knows thaumaturgy, maybe the warlocks have figured out how to turn lead into gold. I don't
Sure,
know.
whatever. I'm not putting transmutation past
Right, yeah.
Sevalot, but
You know, it's only just gold, silver, and bronze. Everyone, there's no crazy platinum involved, or adamantium, or mithril.
yeah. But yeah, I can't overemphasize how fucking rare actual platinum is.
Well, like I was saying, I was talking about palladium anyway, which
Right.
is much.
That's a highly toxic rare earth metal, right? Right.
It's the one that's under platinum on the periodic table.
So,
Right, that's specific.
Marcus really liked the arguing Slancha, or at least found them
Marcus
really
did, yes.
interesting. Or yes, Marcus personally, or really disliked.
No, I'm wrong.
Anything from you others?
I was mildly horrified when that Slotch's arm just snapped right off.
I laughed. I laughed so hard.
But then again, I'm the sort of person who gets really weirded out by dismemberment in general.
Yeah, David's just so strong. Slancha's not
He
so
is.
strong.
Yeah, David is terrifyingly strong. He is, before blood buffs, at the maximum human potential. He's as strong as the strongest man on Earth.
Marcus is almost there.
Sure. Almost.
Well, Marcus is, without blood buffs, faster than the human. It has more dexterity than the average human.
Zlaza question. Why was it 2 of them and 1 Buvkit? Was it Sevi's prawn? Even if I translate that, I still don't understand.
2 Slotcha, 1 bucket.
Why is it that it was 2 of them and 1 bucket?
Maybe there was
This is
only
so
1
much.
bucket that had not been melted.
Maybe they could only acquire a single bucket.
Oh, 2 Slotcha, 1 bucket. Like 2 girls, 1 cup.
Yes.
Yes.
I got that. It was so
I just
moronic
got-
I couldn't justify it.
Welcome to the present era, Aaron.
I don't know. Catechidealism, I really don't. Just because it's a pretty big experience point investment to pick up something like, fortitude.
Even though it's probably one of the best abilities to have.
Maybe? I mean, David is still 2 points away from getting it, period. And he's not really willing to dip into the power of the stone if he can at all avoid it. So.
The stone will be there for you.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I have no doubt that, if I was willing to pay the price, I could pick up Fortitude fucking 5 right now.
Yep, you would become a non-player character.
So, yeah, David has too much in the way of principles, damn it.
I have a code of honor.
Actually, yeah, who's to say that David can be put in torpor with that stone in his chest?
Well, let's find out.
Let's not.
For science, David.
Okay, we got to take a vote on it.
Democratic. who thinks we should put David in torpor? Everyone say aye. That's 3-1. Sorry.
Wait, we're not anarchs yet. We don't get to vote on anything.
It's like the power invested in them by the meta vote grants them nothing.
Damn it.
I still find it. I've got to say, I find it hilarious that out of everyone, David's the one that ended up being subverted by Sevalot.
So do I, but honestly, I'm not at all surprised. I just find it really funny.
That's two characters now. If I let Aaron make another one, it'd probably find some way to go Civilot too.
Well, and I mean, here's the thing. It's because of their motivations.
Maybe it has something to do with the fact that Aaron's the one that ended up creating Sevalot.
I didn't create him.
You caused him to
facilitated
become.
Grimith creating him.
It's possible that Sevalot would have come into an existence regardless of what Aaron did. It just so happened that it was that moment.
It just so happens that the characters I make have goals and objectives, and Sevalot tends to offer what they need.
You know who else? Maybe next time you can stop by matches rather than going straight to the demons.
Oh, that was so great. Well, my characters have a sense of purpose in their lives.
Joseph does too. It's to survive.
Yeah, no, I mean, other than surviving, everyone has survival as a goal other than David.
I don't know. Byron has a goal, but it's outside the scope of this campaign, so it really doesn't figure in.
Jazz asks, would you say that the coterie is more or less doomed than it normally is right now? How many sessions have you guys have been ended in this campaign where you guys have gone, well, fuck, what do we do now? This is awful.
Every
All of
single
them?
one.
That was about two-thirds.
even-
Some actually had some nice finality, like when we finally got the heart from Sevalod. That was
Are
good.
you kidding
I
me?
didn't think...
David woke up from torpor with Theobel acting bizarrely after an extremely dubious event.
Oh, well, Byron was fine. It had a lot of closure for him. So maybe your mileage varied.
Cargo says, I can't imagine the series without Sevalot. He, really, the player characters are responsible for making him a major player. This is all their fault.
I'll tell you honestly, I was sad when the sheriff finally died and got converted and subverted and all that. I was not sad to see Sevalod go. And when I knew he was alive. He had to be. And when I got confirmation, I'm like, oh, great. Got to deal with this shit again, which is going to be Byron's response if he ever learns of it.
How about that intro for him, right? I have this wonderfully, opulent basement just for him that the Tremere apparently couldn't get into.
Fucking Tremere, they have one job. Kill a single thing and they fuck it up.
And this is why we can't have nice things.
One of the reasons, anyway.
I considered the possibility of, maybe having a combat section in there, but I was like, I know, David's going to go in there on his own, and, the segment can't be too long anyway, because I know he's going to do it alone, no matter the suggestion or not, because, for one, he'd have to somehow try to convince the others to go in, and the only way Joseph would go in there is to fulfill his nature. The only way Byron and Marcus would go in there would be to somehow fulfill their natures, and if Marcus was really, really drunk.
The only way Joseph would in there is with that Billy Pete grenade.
And the C-Force 2?
So yeah. So David gets to do all the interesting things because his character is really teetering on the edge of damnation. That's what it is.
I mean, at this point, if David was convinced that he could kill himself in a way that would clearly point to Sevalod continuing to exist, he would do it. He's okay with damning himself with suspicions as long as people figure out what's going on. Which is why, of course, he was acting so fucking suspicious in front of Joseph.
So,
Yeah, if I was thinking about the thing we're talking about character goals. The only thing that Byron would want that he would the least be interested in that Sevlot could give him is, and I don't know if he even could, is he just wants a cushy position of power where, like, he wants to be the vizier. He doesn't actually want to be the king. He just wants to be the guy there that has most of the accoutrements but won't get his head chopped off. That's pretty much his goal.
Byron never had that advancement in vicissitude. The potential was unlocked, but
Well, it's still there, isn't it? I mean, he can still learn it if he gets 10 points to it or whatever.
well, did he drink any of the blood? I thought he left that in the fridge.
He never drank the blood. Not
No, I
in-game.
drank one blood point of it. Yes, I did.
Yeah, he did drink one.
He drank the
It's
Kool-Aid.
been on my character sheet the entire time that it says the under traits, ability to learn vicissitude 1.
He drank the blood, and he had his potential unlocked by Sevlot.
Yeah, that's actually the thing I was thinking of learning next, to be honest, after Auspex. I was thinking of just learning that and getting it over with.
Anyway, Larian, the whole sort of connection involving the stone and Sevlot has nothing to do with the Lich. It's not like Sevlot's soul is trapped in the stone. Sevlot Cervini is still very much there, and he's also there.
I don't know if he's all there.
It's possible the continuing curiosities of its life has made Sevlot perhaps increasingly unstable. Hence why the stone told David, I don't know how this is going to go. You can try to alter the Nosferatu's appearance all you want. Anything that would make them look better would just, it would revert back. Now, anything that would make them look worse, or equivalent, that's a different story.
David actually is considering picking up Obfuscate 3 just so that he can walk around with an actual face on.
That's what he has his hero mask for, right?
No, that's so that he can walk around without any face on. And it's not so much a hero mask as it is just a scary-ass mask. He's also considering swapping that out for a, like a surgical mask or a dust mask and a pair of, shades, but he's not sure if he wants to leave an impression or leave no impression.
So we heard things from both Jordan and Aaron about what they really liked or really found interesting or really disliked. What about you, Sean Gripson?
Oh, maybe I didn't have the button pressed down. I was going to mention the thing that I was a little surprised by was Theo's reaction when
oh yeah, you mentioned that.
Showed up. Oh, okay, yeah, that was the main thing.
Okay. Sean?
Basically the fact that it's just a house of cards tumbling down at this point. Aaron, you're a bad influence on me. I now want to see the world burn.
You're welcome.
Then you'll sleep like a baby. Great. Jordan wants to see the world burn too, so it's up to you, Cripson. Save the world.
Wait, I want to see the world burn?
Yep, you've talked about it before. So it must be true.
Well, if the internet said it, it's ought to be true.
It's true. False things aren't on the internet.
As Jazz says, the House of Cards have been falling since the start of this campaign. Mm-hmm.
The House of Cards have been following since the abdication of Calibros.
You know what? It's his fault. Let's go kill that motherfucker.
They've
He's
been
dead.
falling. They've been falling since
Shit.
the Sabbat left.
No,
I don't know
I
about
won't
that.
agree with that.
Has Evelyn found a new place for David? Yep. She really stopped looking. She tried, couldn't find anything. Told him.
No, see, I honestly think that as soon as the Sabbat left, that was the high point of New York, and it's just been getting worse and worse.
Gotta disagree. Up until Calibros left, it was going pretty well.
I mean, he left like what, 6 months after the Battle of New York?
Roughly a year. And the game started 2 weeks after he abdicated.
Yeah. Entire year was probably a pretty good period to be, Camarilla. It's probably a good time. And it's probably when the coterie actually gained its control over Astoria.
That's right. Now, everyone out there, if you're worried, I mean, hard mode is still enabled. There might not have been a combat situation in this session, but there are definitely enemies the coterie has made along the way who will not forget what has happened.
Like everyone we've ever met.
How is David's paranoia handling that?
Handling what?
I think the joke isn't.
Handling everything being out to get him?
Oh, it's providing it a lot of positive validation. Like, see? You were right. You were right this whole fucking time. And all the evidence is right there.
And yeah, meta plot? Shit. Just because I was inspired by things doesn't mean I follow meta plot. You kidding me?
I mean,
Oh, and
you-
to
yeah.
the people talking about Nosferatu appearances being locked in at 0, they're locked in at 0 long term, but they can temporarily be higher by using things like Obfuscate 3 or Vicissitude. They just always revert.
If, as I said, they can be permanently made worse, but better, no.
See, I actually, and this is just an example of how much of a stretch I can come to with, like, internal logic. I actually consider the possibility that David might be the Nick Tuku that's kind of had his mind fucked with using Dominate to help it infiltrate Nosferatu society.
I believe you have mentioned the suspicion before.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the reason that David brought up during his meeting with Gerard that the Niktuku with Obfuscate 3, just Obfuscate 3, could be literally any of the Nosferatu.
It's okay, David. It's okay. Marcus is the Nick Tuku.
Not sure if okay with that.
Double twist of Mitzi is under New York City, but it really is dead. Well, you know, it's an antediluvian, so it's kind of dead to begin with, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's that an antediluvian can only be brought to true death by another antediluvian.
So one of the
Mitzi is
threads
supposed to be
of White Wolf goes, yeah.
Or
So it's
by
supposed
its
to
own
be
choice.
Right. So it's supposed to be as close to death as it can possibly be, which would be a sort of hyper-deep torpor.
Say that to Lugosh. Again, metaplot nonsense.
Right, I mean, metaplot nonsense, metaplot nonsense, Samitsi's actually, alive and well, so to speak. Yeah, you know you're paranoid when you suspect yourself. I totally agree. And David does suspect himself, but more to the point, I suspect David, but I don't really suspect him, but I have, accepted the possibility.
Maybe you should be suspecting Marcus. I mean,
Nah.
I'm gonna say this as a storyteller, and I'm gonna say this with all of the gravitas that I get as a storyteller. In regards to David being the Natuku, he is not the Niktuku.
Well, that does a little bit to resolve that barely existing suspicion to begin with.
There we go.
Way to spoil things.
God. But I mean, I still...
Yeah, thanks
Marcus,
for giving away the big reveal, Grimith.
I think Marcus is also still a bit paranoid about himself because there's an entire night that he doesn't even know what the hell happened still.
Yes. And he hears ghosts giggling, now away from the Majestic.
God damn it.
We didn't focus so much on that because there was so much to deal with involving, as I knew, David would end up venturing down to the hell, the ashy ruin of the mansion, that poor, beautiful mansion. Think of how many millions of dollars were lost in that. Fucking Tremere.
Out of character, I secretly hoped that I would find Sevalod down there in torpor, and without having reverted his blood back from acid yet.
Well, the first part could have happened. The second part, though, no. I'd considered the first part.
Like I said, in character.
You said out of character.
Right.
I think in character David would be like, no Sevalod, no Sevalod, no Sevalod.
Oh yeah. I mean, if the situation arose, he would end Sevalod once and for all that way, but... You know.
That'd be an interesting bout of self-control with the stone. So, are you gonna let me kill you?
Metal Slime Hut, I think driving a ghost insane would be a bad idea.
Would it though?
First,
Yeah,
Joseph would have to
would.
be able to see the ghost.
Would he though?
I actually don't think he needs to. I think he just needs to be able to talk to it. That said, I don't know what kind of resistance it would get.
Oh, you think you have madness? Let me show you my madness.
Yeah, that would end comically.
Oh, you want to know what grew in the garden? Well, nothing that
Ravnos
saved the
didn't
mansion.
so much kill their antediluvian as the Ebon Dragon and the Scarlet Phoenix did.
I was typing it so we didn't really have to talk about it.
Just wanted to point that out.
The Tremere weather satellites killed it.
Those bastards.
Those glorious bastards.
It's fair to say, that part of the destruction that may have been caused down there in Sevalod's domain was due to giant chunks of stone and dirt and rock falling down. Very, very shameful, very shameful. All those beautiful cobblestone paths, man. You know how many zlotcha that took to make over how many years?
Are you implying that the stones were made of zlotchas?
Yes,
I wasn't implying that, but that could be true.
But I sure inferred that.
You'll never know what was in Sevalod's garden. And no one would be foolish enough to believe that Sevalod Cerveni, after being attacked, even if he were still in existence and hadn't met final death, would still be down there and hadn't relocated somewhere. It'd be stupid.
Well, I mean, Sevalod is kind of cray-cray in the brain K.
I mean, his ultimate guardian ended up pretty much exacting revenge on the Tremere who were responsible for burning down his mansion. Many of them, anyway.
Well, yeah, you gotta look at it this way. Even though Cephalod's still alive, he's lost a lot. It'll be a while before Noah starts pulling strings again.
I mean, Dimitri is gone. It's terrible.
It's especially Pavel. I mean, come on.
But he'll always have Jermaine. Smile.
He'll always have Jermaine. Wait, what?
I mean, Jermaine was just embraced because Volo was fucking lonely.
That,
Well,
it's not that hard for a 6th generation vampire to make you go from a 2nd stage blood bond to a 3rd stage blood bond.
It's true.
We talked about this last week.
well, David should be really, really scared of what Jermaine's doing now.
It's true.
Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of the out of character reason why I definitely stressed that Jermaine is a vampire now, to kind of drive that home to, although we would have said it anyway, but drive it home to David that, yeah, shit might be going down more than we know.
There's no telling what items Sevillana had in his domain. You collect a lot of shit, you know, whenever you live somewhere for just a few years, let alone several hundred. And obviously he had things from even before he moved to the area and made his home there. That's right. We are all experiments. True comprehension comes in the minutiae. Nothing is sacred. 4th portrait, blank.
People are trying to make out the Cephalot like he's doing some sort of amazing Xanatos gambit.
I mean, you know, if anyone's gonna do a Xanatos gambit, right?
I mean, it would be him, but it's much more likely that he just had a plan in case the Tremere attacked him.
Yeah, and honestly, I think Sevalot's crazy and trying to survive by the skin of his teeth, and it just so happens that he's great at rationalizing whatever he did to come across as if he planned it the whole time.
We're going to find out that he's a Malkavian that just knows vicissitude.
Yes. On the off chance that the Vienna Chantry catches wind of me being down here doing crazy shit, this is what I'm gonna do. Jazz asks, so Grimith, how's it being in 3 very different campaigns simultaneously? Well, I'm only the guy who creates the sandbox in one of them, so it's not a problem. They're all different.
Although it looks like having a lot of fun in that one game.
Oh, the 4E
I'm not going to
one?
say which. Yeah.
Well, in that one, there's not a whole lot of room for role playing. We just go from encounter to encounter, and I fill the gap with ghost sound.
And making funny goblin noises.
I don't like. I'm not as much of a fan of 5-player groups. My preferred number really is 4. I like it.
Yeah, I do.
It's an even, you know, square pedestal so that you guys can get into 2v2 situations and not have a tiebreaker. You know, there's more quality time for role playing, particularly on an individual level. Especially, you know, imagine, like, if I had went through and got an extra player for this, and then we still had solo segments, like, every time Joseph throws someone under the bus, or David goes to do some crazy shit that nearly puts him in final death, or...
Again. Or, you know, if Byron decides to go and have a nice foot sandwich.
Have a what sandwich?
A nice
A
foot
foot
sandwich.
sandwich.
Oh, foot sandwich.
Yes.
Yeah.
You and me could share it.
Yeah, you might say that he's a fan of footlongs.
Are they $5?
Fuck you.
Any plans for solos in the future? On the off chance that, for whatever reason, you know, we might have had a situation where I would have dragged Aaron in, and we would have gone through that whole segment with just him and I, just so that such a large solo thing wouldn't take up everyone else's time, because I don't like, that situation, if it can be helped. But, it's a major thread that influences the story, that Aaron is now have an artifact inside of him, and he is directly connected to an ancient evil. Which, Sevalon Cerveni is evil, in case any of you in the chat had any doubts. Like, oh, he's just cray-cray. No, he's evil.
I mean, he's also crazy.
He's like chaotic evil crazy.
Yeah. I mean, and David can definitely see that despite him being incredibly powerful, he is crazy and evil, and that's why he talked. That's why he talked to him the way he did.
And as it turns out, Sevalon wasn't in an "I'll just vaporize you" mood, which he could have been.
Honestly, David would have been okay with that.
Yep.
Again, he's in a situation where he doesn't so much care about his life right now.
And then I'll kill your family.
Well, I mean, that'd kind of be
was anyone else,
an empty
was anyone
gesture.
else kind of hoping that, changing the subject a little bit, but that Joseph was going to be shot with a shotgun through that door?
Oh yeah, I was really hoping for that.
Okay, so I'm not alone.
Yeah, it was like, Joseph, you sat outside a guy's door all night and were annoying him. The fact that you didn't get a shotgun shot at you is a good thing.
For a good cause, and yeah, that would make 4 votes.
Yeah, it sounded like you were waiting for it. So.
What is wrong with you people?
Joseph wouldn't have minded that much.
Yeah, the only good news about that is I'm sure Theo Bell is much more skilled with a shotgun than Byron, so you probably wouldn't have been shot in the head and killed outright. So that's a thing.
Unless he was trying to do that.
Through the door. Just like no-scope you.
360 no scope.
No, 720 no scope. Gotta go.
Theo does a 1080 while still sitting down in the chair and just blows off Joseph's face.
Actually, Dragon's Breath rounds totally exist. They're just not at all what people expect. They fired.
Aaron,
What? No, I'm talking about the metal slime hunters
Type
that
in the
barely exist in
chat.
real life.
can't you just type regular people?
Fine.
It's like we're having one conversation. Oh, metals, blah 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 blah. Like,
No,
what does that have to do with? What does that have to do with what we're talking about?
Well, Metal Slime Hunt did bring up an earlier point of how, perhaps Sevalod just sees himself as an experiment like everything else. He's not crazy, he's just bored after, like, 1,300 something years.
I mean, that explains a lot of Zamitzi, actually. All that shit they do to themselves.
Do you have any uses for the C4 you bought? Oh, Sean has uses. Sean definitely has uses.
One of these.
I'll give you a hint. It involves blowing shit up.
This is what's gonna happen one of these days. Sean's gonna.
Shit, that narrows it down so much.
He's going to slap the C4 to the bus, and then as he's riding over us, he's just gonna blow it up.
Everyone goes out. Joseph will kill everyone in the party to save them from Sevalod.
That genuinely, he very well may.
That's why I said it. It was reasonable.
To him, that would actually be genuinely perfectly reasonable. Especially Brisk Final Death way, way before Brisk getting Diablerized. Or worse.
all things considered, I think the guy who can do sort of domination effects from not even seeing you, let alone touching you, as well as making a cocoon that can attach itself to the ceiling that he just explodes out of. I don't think you're the one who upset that guy. Really.
I think we should stop thinking of him as a person and start thinking of him as a monster that can talk.
I think that's totally fair.
You mean you've been thinking of him as a person this entire time?
Yeah, I've been considering the idea that he might actually have motivations.
Nah.
And he still might have motivations. They're just so alien that they come across as insanity.
Right.
Which, from my understanding, tends to happen with pretty much all of the ancient followers of Metamorphosis.
Well, because Metamorphosis is literally about stopping being human.
Yep. I mean, of course, you have the sort of the penultimate example, rather the ultimate one, the most admired one. I think it's like Zacha Vikos or something or another. I forget the exact name. So Larian asks another question. You all started with some derangements. You got rid of some at some point. Can you tell one? Yeah. Joseph was the only one who starts with a derangement because he's Malkavian. That's his clan weakness. And speaking of clan weaknesses, the person who really has the most problems with their weaknesses in terms of an everyday session perspective, mechanic-wise, happens to be the Nosferatu. As it turns out, in a massive metropolitan area like New York City, as we've discussed, Byron doesn't have that difficult of a time feeding. Marcus just so happens that we just automatically assume every time he goes out to get drunk that he ends up getting mesmerized by something. So it usually doesn't happen in a major situation. And Sean has put so many experience points into increasing willpower so that he wouldn't have a situation where he sat out the entirety of a session as he did in Chapter 2.
And set up like half his background points around just mitigating that in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, certainly if he decided to go, I'm going to spend my points in generation and domain, and I'm not going to have any ghouls to help me, I'm not going to have a herd to help me.
He'd be dead.
Yes.
He would have got himself killed.
And if Sean hadn't put so many experience points into willpower, he would be getting crazier much more often on screen instead of off screen. The characters still do have other flaws that have not really been explored. They may end up being some point during the story, they may not be. Honestly, the story is very busy, and it could stand to have fewer elements injected into it.
It's fair.
The Princedom, the whole Cephala thing, David being, David, the...
Vargas is dead, apparently. The Anarchs have now ghoulified a commissioner who oversees several precincts in Northern Queens.
Marcus still doesn't know what happened that one day. He's missing blood points every now and again.
That's right, I didn't subtract one from you this session. That's okay. I'll make up for it.
There's also the fact that we keep involving ourselves in situations that don't necessarily directly involve us, because we're afraid they'll end up coming back around to us eventually.
There's a horde of ghoul rats trying to kill me.
That's right. Every time, you guys are told about the prospect of like an opportunity or a courtesy call, it gets pounced on.
Well, because we're afraid, rightly, that it'll come back around to us eventually worse than it was before. And it usually does.
Well, you never give it a chance to.
I mean, the last time we had a courtesy call...
it usually would. The big exception to that is the Steinway warehouse.
We didn't have to go there.
And if we didn't, a lot less would have happened.
You know, to give you a good example of a situation, I mean, you take a look at, say you guys hadn't gone to Madison Square Garden, you would not have personally encountered the beast. It likely would have still died. I would have made some off-camera dice rolls, but, you know, David obviously wouldn't have been put into a final death situation at that time. So he wouldn't have to worry about trying to find out whether Sevalod is still in existence or not, for instance.
The High Regent might be dead.
Perhaps.
Theo might be dead.
I don't think you're getting rid of Theo Pill that easily.
I
I
said
don't know,
might.
he did take some aggravated damage there.
He did take some aggravated damage.
There's a lot in this game that could have been different. A lot.
That tends to happen. Giant sandbox, hero tools, so long as you stay on the giant railroad network that is New York City, blah blah.
New York City kind of actually is a giant railroad network. Like, speaking literally here.
And of course, you still have so many other potential story arcs that could intrude themselves at any moment in time. The Sabbat are still there. There still might be mortal vampire hunters in the city. It's possible they've been preying on some vampires too, making them disappear. But the party's never had to deal with any of them, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
I mean, there's the entire gangrel plot arc going on.
You know, you have whole situations where you have organized crime muscling into various aspects, and David had been built around an idealist to do like crime fighting, but at this moment he can't directly go fight crime because he's so busy trying to pick up the pieces of everything else.
It's true. I mean, if he could get everything in order, he would start actively pursuing an agenda against organized crime, like a long-term one that would take a long time to complete.
I mean, he did definitely try to do that at one point with the whole concept of pursuing the Fratellis again, and then he logged onto ShrekNet, and all of a sudden, you know, fucking Gerard Rafin dropped a bomb on him. Like, oh fuck.
And that was the end of that. Yeah, David, David's goal, his personal goal this whole time, that he keeps having to put on the back burner, is to get some high-ranking mafiosos, blood-bound or sufficiently intimidated, to turn state's evidence. That's it.
That has been the goal since Chapter 2, 17 chapters ago.
Like, David wants that to happen, and he keeps just putting it off.
Yeah, I was going to say the whole Lorenzo thing, that is, what was that, Session 2 that we went
That was Chapter 2, yes. The middleman was Chapter 2.
Seems like just a lifetime ago.
Chapter 3 was David going batshit insane. Chapter 4 was when you first met Jermaine. Oh, good times, good times. I definitely enjoy all of the character interactivity. You all have definitely explored your characters over the past 19 sessions, not to mention all of the prep work we did before. It, you know, you're trying to work through things despite, you know, maybe not liking the old World of Darkness so much, and me, of course, flailing my limbs like I have no idea what I'm doing. That's why I wanted people who were familiar with this world, because I don't understand it. Oh god. I need a Vampire the Masquerade for Dummies self-help book.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
No, you really don't.
I need some guidelines, man.
No, sure, you need that, but I mean, the For Dummies line tends to be pretty rudimentary.
I think I need rudiments.
And this is how dice work.
See, that's just it. Even White Wolf doesn't understand it half the time. It doesn't. I'm not saying they have to give me like canonical story elements. I just need canonical rules. I need rules that are presented in the third person, factually correct.
Not, so I heard you need to drink blood in order to learn a discipline.
That could be wrong, though.
And I mean, who knows when you need to drink it, under what context, what circumstances.
Maybe future sessions we'll really just calm down. We'll handle individual elements as they come. If only I hadn't killed Vargas. Everything would be okay.
To a certain extent. I mean, that would be one less problem on the problem platter.
That's right.
That's trademarked, by the way.
Yep.
The problem platter? Yeah, it's good. Well, we never would have run into Jermaine. Never would have had to tell Theo Bell.
No. He said killing off Vargas.
I know.
Oh, you mean running into Jermaine again?
Yeah. I mean, in front of the commissioner's apartment, and we wouldn't have known that the anarchs were making moves, and we wouldn't have told Theo, and he wouldn't have gotten all mad and yelled at the wall and almost shot Joseph.
And then you wouldn't have lost a status point. It's really the problem. Theo Bell is really upset. I did some dice rolls for him off screen. He maintained himself. I mean, he is Brugia, but he's also a fucking Archon. He's not gonna lose his shit in Elysium. If he loses his shit, everyone is doomed.
Oh, and just something that occurred to me the other day is, Theo Bell, as powerful as he is, he's ninth generation. So both
He is? That's news to me.
Yeah, it was on a wiki page, yeah. But I mean, you can change that. That's
The
just
canon.
I can? I have your permission?
Yeah, you do.
You know what?
No, I was saying that
Permission
I didn't know if you
suspended.
used the canon, but I mean, you could.
I'm aware of the canonical rule set for these characters that are part of the meta plot. That's how I got them. I certainly did not invent Theo Bell or Calibros or, many of the other characters at the start. No.
No, but I didn't know it either. I was looking up something, and it just this was like a week or two ago, and I was like, oh, he's ninth gen. Not that it would ever occur to Byron to try to do anything to him, but out of character, yeah, it was kind of interesting.
Did it also show you some of his other stats? Like how you wouldn't be able to dominate him anyway?
I actually didn't read that. I was looking for something else. I didn't even read that far, but no, I didn't read that much.
He's got flawless willpower. In addition, he has iron will, which is the thing Jermaine had.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Really, you have to with everything. Mom! Mom! Jimmy went down to see Seven.
Yeah, with Jermaine, when I realized that he could never really ever kick out the same offensive level that, a vampire could, I decided to build him around defense. I gave him an unbreakable will, I gave him high stamina, I gave him fortitude. I decided to build him around the idea that if he can't necessarily kick a vampire's ass, he can outlast them, hypothetically, if he's smart about it.
So, yes. The off chance Theo might be of equivalent or higher generation or lower, whatever terminology you want to use, it seems White Wolf itself fluctuates on it. It's possible it would still fall short anyway. But White Wolf says that the maximum difficulty could be to... You know how many things White Wolf tells me isn't true? Everything.
I think the maximum difficulty assignable is 11.
Think it is. Just like, the situation goes, well, actually, the minimum difficulty for a hunting roll has to be 3. I'm like, well, maybe, White Wolf, maybe, if you made sense, maybe I would listen to you. But you know who might be telling me that? Zasha Vikos. I can't trust him. It.
All right. It's getting late here. I'm gonna be going out.
That's fair. We're done. We really are.